into the Sporting Jacks Report. I'm Cole Pepper, he's Mauricio Ruiz, and what a week of soccer we had. Champions of the Copa America and the Euros. But let's start with the big story in U.S. soccer, a changing of the guard for the U.S. men's national team. After losing in the group stage at Copa America, it was clear it was time for a different direction. Gregg Burhalter is out, so who's going to be in? Mauricio, there are a lot of names that have been floated around. What should U.S. soccer be looking for right now?
Well, I hope they don't go just for the Hollywood name to sell tickets. And I know that's a consideration because it is a business and the business is coming to America, and the biggest part of the business, the World Cup, is coming to America. But I really hope that they have a criteria list. You know, are we looking for an American coach, international coach, someone with an international experience or not, someone that has a pedigree? What are we looking for? And I hope that they kind of go through that. I would love to see and understand that process, so when they get to a final decision on it, we can all be supportive of it.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of the names that have been floated out there for this job. Former Liverpool skipper Jurgen Klopp said no, so what about former Chelsea boss Mauricio Pochettino? Or if you want more domestic flavor, Philadelphia Union's Jim Curtin. Or how about Patrick Vieira, who has coached in the U.S. as well as France, England, and Germany. Former U.S. men's national team player and current LAFC coach Steve Cherundolo has been mentioned. So what do you think about these guys as some of the early candidates, Mauricio?
Yeah, and these are all great names and great candidates, and in their own right, they've done really well, but they've done well where? At the club level. So the names that have been thrown around so far, outside of, I think, Renier, the French women's coach that coached Saudi Arabia, I haven't really heard about any other name. Not that we know everything that there needs to know, but we haven't really heard about a name that has coached and succeeded at the international level. These are all great coaches, and in their own timing, they probably deserve an opportunity. I don't think that we have time for trial and error. I don't think we have time to bring in a Jim Curtis, for instance, and set him up for failure, because he's never been in that environment. And coaching club and coaching international football, it's almost two different sports at times.
It's much different, especially for the United States, who doesn't have to qualify for the World Cup as a host nation. So you won't have those qualifying tournaments kind of work out. It's just all friendlies between now and the World Cup.
Yeah, and not that friendlies don't have a consequence to it from a kind of making a roster, not making a roster. You know, players are fighting for it, and especially after this debacle in Copa America, I think you're going to see some openings. And every time a new coach comes into the equation, their style requires a new kind of trend of player and a brand of player. So there'll be those players fighting for that opportunity. So that's kind of where the struggle is going to be, and that's where the problem is going to be. It's a good problem, but who's going to lead that charge? I hope that they take their time. You don't need to make a decision tomorrow. Take their time, go through the criteria, and make sure that we hit a home run on this.
We'll be paying close attention to this as it develops over the course of the next several months. We are just days away from the Stateside Cup at Everbank Stadium as Wolves and West Ham go at it on July the 27th. Tickets are on sale now, and before the match, Sporting Jacks is organizing a youth clinic in the Flex Field next to the stadium. Mauricio, this is going to be a great chance to learn from Wolves and West Ham folks, as well as some local college and club coaches.
So absolutely, and where can you play soccer right now in the summer in Jacksonville? Indoors.
Air conditioning.
For the sake of it, I think it's a great opportunity for kids to come out, get to play soccer in this beautiful facility right next to the Jack Stadium, and then within an hour go over and actually see a Premier League level game. It'd be great.
Going to be great. Let's show you some of the details for the clinic. It is for boys and girls aged 4 to 18. The cost of the clinic is $65. That includes a ticket to the match. For friends and family joining, tickets to the game are available for $55. Just go to sportingjacks.com under the events tab for more information. This past week, we also saw the return of the U.S. Open Cup. In the quarterfinals, 3 USL championship teams remained, and one of them, Indy 11, upset LAFC out of MLS. So call it a cup set, but it's a continuation of Indy's fine form and a huge win for the 11. So here is the remaining schedule. Indy will play at Sporting KC next month, while Seattle will host as well. And Mauricio, this is one of the great competitions, and you love to see when the lower division teams have a chance to play deep into the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And if my recollection is correct, Indy has never made it this far to the event. So to be able to be within the Final Four here, and we kind of know what's going on with the U.S. Open Cup, what a statement you would make for USL, a lower division team, to actually claim the title.
Here's what Sean McCauley, the Indy 11 coach, said after the big win.
You know, you're coming into a little bit of the unknown, you know, an MLS team, and they put a strong team out, which we were unsure what type of team they'd play because they've got a really tough schedule. But I thought in the first half we played well, and we you know, created a few chances ourselves and defended when we needed to defend, and then obviously in the second half we get the second goal, which obviously helps. But you look at the end there and it shows you how much this competition does mean to all the teams that are in it, because they threw everything at us, and I've got to give credit to our players for standing up to that challenge.
It means a lot for Indy 11 to be the last remaining USL Championship team in the tournament, to get a little extra scratch too, by the way, but also to have that kind of a performance in a year where there's been so much talked about and where they're really on a run right now.
They really are, and with the MLS kind of taking down the importance of US Open Cup, you heard Coach Sean saying that they did put on a strong performance, a strong roster. But is this the opportunity that a USL team has to actually claim? They're 2 games away from it, so I think they can smell it. They see the opportunity, and what a great opportunity for players to be able to say, put on their claim that they won the U.S. Open Cup.
Semifinals next month, finals in September. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Time now for our Island Wing USL Championship Game of the Week, and we go to Pittsburgh, where the Riverhounds were in a goal drought as they welcome the Oakland Roots to town. To Steel Town we go. And Oakland had won 4 of 5 coming in. Pittsburgh was without a goal in their last 6, but they atoned for that in this one. 12th minute, Pittsburgh on the attack in the dark kits. And look at the ball movement here. Winds up at the foot of Brune Allergene E2, who puts it away right there for the Riverhounds, an early 1-0 lead.
And you talk about full work there by Mertz to find a teammate free at the top of the box. And you can see 2 players joining. E2 picks up a pass, and what a great finish.
Nearing the half-hour mark, E2 with a shot from the edge of the 18-yard box. It hits the hand of an Oakland player in the box. That's a PK. Robbie Mertz steps up to take it for Pittsburgh, and it's 2-0 Riverhounds.
And he gets a very infamous skip right now, but puts it high and wide where the keeper cannot reach it.
Now the dying moments of the first half. Pittsburgh scoring in a more direct style here. Sean Suber gets on the end of this one. And the dam has broken. 3 first-half goals for Pittsburgh.
And what another heads-up play by Mertz to play short, first-time service to a more dangerous angle, and Suber towers over everyone to get a 3-0 lead.
Pittsburgh wasn't done yet. Second half, 51st minute. Oakland not well organized here. A lot of green space for the Riverhounds to utilize, and Canardo Forbes will be the recipient here on the end of it with the header to make it 4-0 Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and it kind of just looks easy at this point. Everything going Pittsburgh way. Once again, Mertz gets his 3rd hockey assist of the game. Another great header, this time from Forbes.
Yeah, and 69th minute, more from Pittsburgh as you take another look here at the goal by Forbes. Forbes this time doing the grunt work. Watch him dig it out right here in the middle between a couple of Oakland defenders. Gets it out wide to Edward Kizza, who can't get it past the keeper, but on the rebound, Etu is there for his brace. 5-0 Pittsburgh, the final. When it rains, it pours in the Steel City.
Yeah, it really does. You say they're on a goal drought for 6 games, and I think they're just waiting to come back home and put on a goal-scoring clinic. And unfortunately for Oakland Roots, always tough to come across to the East Coast sometimes, and sometimes just get a team on a bad cycle. And that's what it looks like it happened here tonight.
All right, let's take a look at some of the scores from around the league. You'll note Rhode Island with a win away at Miami, very impressive. And the Las Vegas Lights remain on a roll there, top middle, with a 2-0 win on the road at El Paso, where the Lights are the hottest team in the league right now.
Yeah, and you really look at Rhode Island, you could possibly consider Vegas Lights as a new team in the league with a new ownership, like new energy to them. 2 teams that are started a little bit slow, but showing promise, a lot of ties. But as you mentioned, Vegas, what happens in Vegas, it's not staying in Vegas right now because they're very hot and everyone knows about them.
Carrying over everywhere else. Let's take a look at the conference standings, starting with the Western Conference, where New Mexico United on top, 34 points. They've won 3 straight and 4 of their last 5. They are starting to take control of the conference. 5 points clear of the Oakland Roots after the Roots' loss on the road to Pittsburgh. Anybody else here other than Las Vegas you are keeping an eye on?
Well, it's great to see the climb that Vegas is having from week to week. It's kind of disappointing in Monterey Bay. They were kind of up there in the 2nd and 3rd, but look at Memphis. Don't look at me now, but Memphis last year was really disappointing. They returned almost to the same exact team, and they just building on last year, and they're starting to climb. They're in 4th place now.
Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference now as well. Louisville City remains on top, 38 points, a point ahead of Charleston after Lou City lost and Charleston drew this past week. Tampa Bay Rowdies have won 3 of their last 5 with a draw mixed in, and Loudoun United continues their unbeaten streak.
Yeah, Loudoun United just continues. They're getting a lot of draws in that unbeaten streak, so they're not really climbing as fast as you like them to climb. And it's interesting because Rowdies somehow, they're just always in the top 4. They're not having a stellar season, they're not having a bad season, but at the very end, they're always there and they're contending for it.
All right, well, this week we debut Mauricio's Corner, where you'll be breaking down a trend you're seeing around the league. Let's begin with New Mexico United team. You really like their tactics and their approach that they're taking this year.
Yeah, I really do, Cole. You know, Eric Coyle, coach, he took on a team last year and looked to rebrand with an identity of what they were going to do. And based on an identity, you need new players. So they completely refurbished the roster this year. They have some really good attacking players. Evian Flanagan is just on fire right now. They have some really good players up top. And I just kind of want to show you a little bit of video of how they do and how they're kind of reaching some success. You can see that they're building up in a 4-3-3. And the video is going to pause here for a second. You can see just the base of 4 there, really high and wide fullbacks, 2 holding mids. And they look to attract a lot of pressure. So you see Orange County, look how many numbers Orange County has committed. They're patient in their approach. They move the ball forward so they can look up and they can see this. 1v1 opportunity. You see the wingers on the top of the screen, at the bottom of the screen, and a forward just attacking. And then by the time the Orange County gets a hold of what they're doing, they're looking back towards their goal, they're tracking back, they're defending, and that's how New Mexico is creating opportunities for themselves.
This is a team that has not been dominating from a goal differential standpoint. They're atop the table, +3 in goal differential. That's it. But they've got 34 points on the season.
When they wear you out, look how many players in Orange from Orange County are committed to the high press. And New Mexico is very patient to build up here. Even sometimes when it's not overly pretty, they're just confident in what they're doing. They bring the ball down, and when they do get free here, and you see one of the players just kind of pushing through, look at the numbers that New Mexico has going forward. You have 3 versus 2 on their back line, and everybody from Orange County is facing their own goal. They're tracking back, and that's not a great position that defenders want to be placed in, and just opportunities inside the box once again.
And it doesn't always turn into goals, but it does turn into chances, and more chances. Their efficiency has been very good.
They really are, because they really just kind of wear you down, right? Towards the end of the game, this game ended up 2-0 against a very good Orange County team, but they kind of wear you down. They play super simple. Look at the back line here. They're simple passes. They don't really overcomplicate stuff. And then right when you think Orange County is now playing more of like a middle-low block, they're making it really difficult for New Mexico to break them down. So what do? They open the game up again. They go all the way back to the keeper. They attract Orange County to come out. They create spaces in between lines. And look at the center back here. That's why you need center backs with the ability to distribute the ball. Free player on the opposite side, and here we go again. 4 versus 2.
Great pass there too as well. Being able to execute on that plan is as important as the plan itself.
Well, absolutely. But look how many numbers you have going to the box. They know that they can get themselves into this position, and they're not always going to turn into goals. But look at players joining again. Their effort and emphasis to join the attack and to get forward, it's something that New Mexico, they're wearing you out. They make it difficult for you to track with them, and they're creating opportunities. But once again, they're efficient on their opportunities.
One of the reasons why they're one of the favorites this year in the USL Championship. Still to come, we check in with Becky Burley as the USL Super League kickoff approaches. That's just a month away. Remember, you can become a member of Sporting Jacks. It's absolutely free. Just go to sportingjacks.com to sign up. You'll get discounts on club merchandise, invitations to VIP events, entries into contests for prizes and experiences, and receive the Sporting Jacks email newsletter. Plus, you can put your deposit down for seats and tickets for the Sporting Jacks men's and women's teams and receive an exclusive Sporting Jacks founding member pin. Just go to sportingjacks.com to become a member. Back with more of the Sporting Jacks Report right after this. USL national broadcast schedule continues next week on tonight, Birmingham Legion against Rhode Island FC, 8 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. Then coming up on Saturday, Phoenix Rising against El Paso Locomotive at 11 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. Then on Sunday, it's the USL Championship as CBS will find Oakland Roots hosting Sacramento Republic. That's a 4 o'clock nationally broadcast network game. Time now to welcome in Becky Burley, as we do each and every week. Becky, the USL Super League kicks off in a month. Let's get your breakdown on what you've seen from the teams as they prepare for this inaugural season.
Well, it's getting closer and closer, and it's fun to see some footage of preseason training. It's fun to see more signings coming in. And, I'm really curious as to see how this plays out, because I do think there's some teams that have kind of a little bit ahead on the jump with some of this. And I think there's some teams that are a little bit behind and a big pack in the middle.
Becky, now that they're starting preseason, as a coach, being there before, what do you think some of the things that are the hardest for them to prepare, not just for any season, but for an inaugural season that they're about to face?
Yeah, inaugural seasons are tough because you're not building off anything from the past. And so you're really trying all these combinations of players, you're trying to figure out just even your routine in terms of training and managing your staff. So I think there's a lot going on in that first season that people don't really get to see behind the scenes.
Well, let's look ahead to the U.S. women's national team in the Olympics. What will you be looking for from the Americans as they get things started in Paris?
Well, I wonder if Emma Hayes showed her hand with the lineup she started in this last game. It'll be interesting to see what she starts tomorrow. But it looks like that's kind of a starting group that's gelling there. You look at the center back pairing of Davidson and Gurma. You look at that midfield, which, man, I love that midfield of Haran, Coffey, and Lavelle. And then the forwards up top, there's just such dynamic people in that lineup up top. My curiousness will go into the World Cup going into the Olympics will be, how do those players play together and not duplicate each other's strengths? And I think Emma's kind of mentioned that a little bit. Like, can we be more deliberate when we need to be? Can we go when we need to go? We know that front three can go at any time. I think the question will be, can we dictate the pace of play?
Well, and who do you think poses the biggest threat for the U.S. right now, as far as an opposition?
Ooh, that's a good question because, in the past, you might look at Zambia and that group and think, oh, that should be a relatively easy game, different style. But now, like, Barbara Banda is just on a tear. There's a second player joining her from Zambia that will join after the Olympics. She'll join the Orlando Pride. And so clearly they are producing players that are at a level that could scare you. And Barbara Banda, as we've seen in her performance in the NWSL, is one of those players who she doesn't need a lot to create a lot, and she's a dangerous player. I think she's not a great matchup for us in terms of like what she brings to the table and what maybe our potential weaknesses could be. So I think that's a tough opponent. Australia, lots of injuries, definitely missing key players. And of course, Germany's Germany. I mean, Germany's going to be good no matter who they put out on the pitch because they've just got a lot of talent in that space.
Good stuff, Becky. We'll be looking for more from you. We'll hear you on the radio show and talk to you next week right here on the Sporting Jacks Report.
Sounds great.
All right, it's not too early to become a season ticket member of Sporting Jacks. Just go to sportingjacks.com, put down your deposit. $25 reserves your space for the men's or women's team. And if you want to reserve your spot for both, it's just $40. Go to sportingjacks.com to save your seat for pro soccer in Jacksonville. Still to come, our youth soccer spotlight falls on a team from Clay County, how they learned and grew after a big road trip. That's straight ahead on the Sporting Jacks Report. Sporting Jacks will be unveiling the official kit in the months to come, but already you can get your own Sporting Jacks official merchandise, from t-shirts and hats to sweatshirts and the scarf. Go to sportingjacks.com or at our official team store on Phillips Highway and at We Got Soccer. Time now for the Bearded Pig Youth Soccer Spotlight, and this week we head to Clay County, where a team from the United Soccer Alliance, formerly known as Clay County Soccer Club, took what amounted to a family vacation. I say family because that was the word that kept coming up from players when they talked about their club. The trip was to play in a tournament in New Jersey for the U13 boys. The event was held at a turf farm, and everybody raved about the playing surface, as you can imagine. The team earned the spot in the tournament after finishing in the top 3 in the National Alliance League. It was a great chance to show their skills and learn plenty along the way.
For us right now, it's how we define success. We want to play a particular way. We want to develop players in a certain way. And if we do a good job at that, the byproduct is we perform well on the field. And for these guys at such a young age to do that, that was the biggest piece to me. But then having the added bonus of getting some of the results and now going to experience this at a younger age, that experience for them moving forward, playing in more competitive events, going to college showcases, dealing with that pressure, and maturing at such a young age is going to be super beneficial to them in the long run.
It was great. I mean, competition was there. Grass was lovely. It was a good time with teammates and family.
I mean, it was just very fun playing against better teams and new teams, not playing the same exact people every single weekend. And I got to see some old friends because I used to live up there in New Jersey.
I think I learned that even though we train a lot, we play a lot of teams and we beat them, we're not the best in the whole world, and we still have to train more and become better.
It was a great time, a fun experience, just being able to experience what top teams feel like,
not just in Florida and around our area, and also being able to hang out with our team at the hotel and places around there and just having a good time overall.
Yeah, you learn a lot when you travel in life, and I think this team learned a lot in their travels as well.
They really did. I think it's great that clubs are exposing them to kind of get out of their environment and their bubble. Even if they're successful or not successful, there's a bigger soccer world out there. So Coach Hollyoak, Matt Hollyoak, does a great job as a director of the club, and Nick Fogarty, as you saw there, just really pushing the kids to their boundaries to see kind of how the development can continue to grow.
We'll keep a close eye on what's happening there in Clay County and around the entire area. The Sporting Jack Soccer Hour comes up every Monday night on 1010XL, 6 o'clock. Mauricio, Becky, and I talk all things soccer. You can listen on 1010 AM and 1010XL.com. Still to come, we take a closer look at what happened around the area, around the world in soccer, and how to stay in touch with Sporting Jacks. That's straight ahead here on the Sporting Jacks Report. You can watch the Sporting Jacks Report every Wednesday at noon on ABC 25 with re-airing Saturdays on ABC 25 and on demand at First Coast News Plus. But we had a great time on Sunday at the Southside location of Island Wing Company. It was our Euro Finals watch party as the place was packed to see Spain beat England 2-1 in a game with a great second half. We'll have more watch parties to announce in the future, but Mauricio, really an entertaining game that produced a proper champion.
It really did. When you say proper, the most deserving champion. Yeah. No one has gone through the Euros having won all of their games. No ties, no PKs. They've won all of their games. And they've kind of won it in convincing fashion. Now, without being challenged and tested, England tested them a little bit, but they were the deserving champions. And having a 16/17-year-old on the field, just culminates even more.
Yeah, Lamil Jamal was a huge star of this tournament. But hats off to Spain and hats off to Argentina for winning the Copa America. It has been a busy summer of soccer. A lot of stories come out of Copa America we'll be discussing as well going forward as we look ahead for a couple of years as the World Cup prepares to come to the United States, Canada, and Mexico in 2026. We'll be back next week with more on the Sporting Jacks Report. For Mauricio Ruiz and Becky Burley, I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.